Let's get a cut 19. Here's Larry Kudlow again. He said that the president is working hard to defend the American economy against unfair trade practices by China. This isn't a trade war. This is fighting back. The Chinese have been at war with us for 40 years on trade. And finally, this president is standing up for American jobs. Cut 19.
Well, let me say a couple things on that. Tricky business. Our group is referring to the steel tariffs, but look, I think China is a very special situation. And I think President Trump is working hard to defend the American economy against unfair trading practices and unlawful trading practices and intellectual property theft and forced transfer of technology and so forth. China is a very special case. And we have to defend American interests, whether it's farming or manufacturing or automobiles or technology. You know this story. You've been covering it. So regarding tariffs, I will say this. What President Trump has taught me and others, and I think there's a consensus growing, a bipartisan consensus growing, the China story has to be changed and reformed. We cannot let China pursue these unfair and unreciprocal trading practices.
You know, for years, China has ripped us off and taken advantage of us and stole our jobs. And now finally, this president's fighting back and trying to do the right thing. And the Democrats and the legacy media fighting him on it. What do they want to do? Just ask yourself this question. What is Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, what do they want to do? They want to eliminate the tariffs so the Chinese can get back to stealing our intellectual property, subsidizing our jobs in key industries out of existence, keeping the supply chain. What the president wants to do is not start a tariff battle. What the president is attempting to do is get our supply chain back from China and the Far East and get it back into the United States. That's what he's attempting to do. Get the supply chain here in the U.S. And given time, companies, U.S. companies, are going to find an opportunity to compete with the Chinese economically. Now, right now, they can't when they're subsidizing the cost of production by 20 and 30%. Now, with the tariffs at 25%, they're on an even playing field. And in order for the Chinese to keep the flooding of the key U.S. corner market share they have to increase their subsidies. Otherwise, U.S. competitors are going to pop up because now with the labor that we pay and then the natural resources that we have with a 25% tariff, now we can compete. And once we do, costs will come down again. Not even that they're going up now because they're being subsidized. So I don't know what the Democrats' response to this is. He wants to save jobs. He wants to bring the supply chain back, even the playing field, against the Chinese and their dumping policies and their currency manipulation. And once he does that, U.S. companies will enter the fray because now they can compete, whether it's LED light bulbs or anything else. Chips, they'll be able to compete with the tariff. And then more U.S. companies will compete with each other, getting back into the market, hiring American workers, using American resources, getting the product to American consumers, bringing the supply chain back, and then that competition will eventually get better production, better efficiencies, and force down prices. But we're going to control the supply chain. This is such a simple mathematical equation. I cannot understand why the Democrats and the legacy lying fake news media can't understand it. Any temporary setback from these tariffs is temporary. It is one step back to take 5 steps ahead. You get the supply chain back and you get U.S. companies that can now compete. And other manufacturers that need those goods will buy U.S. products because they can now be produced the same or cheaper than the Chinese subsidized slave labor products coming to the U.S. with the tariff slapped on them. So you're not going to get a price increase. You're going to get U.S. competition and jobs. and to get the supply chain back. How difficult is that for Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and the others to understand? How tough is that? Meantime, by virtue of the fact that we've moved our supply chain back, you ensure yourself that the Chinese are not going to keep stealing our technology. And they have a vision called 2050 of economic world domination. It's written down. And so what are we supposed to do? Stand around because we can, in the short term, sell a soybean or buy a cheaper can of Bud Light and save 3 cents? And just let them go on their merry way? Finally, we have a president standing up to them and standing up for American manufacturing, American ingenuity, American resources, American jobs, and the American supply chain. How is this so difficult to understand when I can explain it on the radio in under 5 minutes? Why is this so difficult for the Democrats to grasp or for the other Republicans? Why? Yes, they understand it. The Republicans understand it, but many of them are simply bought and sold by Wall Street that doesn't care about this. They're concerned about next quarter's profits for their 2019 bonus. That's all they care about. So they will propagandize it along with the Democrats. And now you have unholy alliance number 2 between Wall Street and the Democrats. Republican donors and the Democrats feeding you the free trade is good for you lie. Take this, it is good for you. No, it will kill you. It's not a medicine, it's turpentine. Keep taking it and you will eventually die. But hey, in the short term, you'll feel good, like crack. Take that and for 10 minutes you'll feel great, I guess, or something. Bottom line is it's going to kill you. And this president recognizes that, and that's why he's fighting hard to get rid of it. And eventually, the Chinese are going to be very desperate. This is a battle the president can't lose. $500 billion goes their way, not ours. They need that $500 billion. They need to keep their people working. That's why they're going to keep subsidizing the goods, because they're now subsidizing their own jobs. That is what's going on in China. Peter Navarro understands this. Bob Lighthizer understands this. Curtis Ellis understands this. President Trump understands this. Pat Buchanan gets it. The free traders and the Wall Street gangster banksters, they get it. They don't care. So they propagandize it for short-term profits. That's unholy alliance number 2. And we flushed it all out. That's why I'm your beacon of truth in America.